What is going on, everybody out there in podcast land? How are you? Happy Tuesday.
Hello, my
Look at
darling.
this special guest we have tonight, guys. Do you see? Familiar face.
Not
We
talking
got
about me, are you?
we are Chad from the Autoflower Podcast.
What's
What's up,
up?
my friend?
Welcome
man.
aboard, matey.
Hello,
Man, I'm honored
hello.
and thankful to be here, you guys. Thanks for having me on. This is cool.
Likewise, dude. Likewise. I mean, you know I'm a fan. I always have been. Your show was one of the first growing shows that I ever listened to. Got my feet wet in the where you broke my cherry, I guess, or however you want to put it, I guess.
So that means you
yeah.
got your dick wet, not your feet wet.
That is intimate. I'm honored.
you were, dude. Like I'm a big fan, and I think I can speak for most people in our community too. That we miss you, we love you. We just kind of wanted to check in with you, see what's up.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'm a big fan of your guys' as well, man. And I don't have fans, I have friends, dude. I'm pretty sure you guys kind of feel the same way, So
Right on.
But yeah, dude, it's good to kind of have, the camera and the microphone out and some headphones on and kind of be going and fellowshipping through the digital world. It's been a while. So I was pretty stoked, man, when you guys reached out to me. I'm pretty excited. So thank you.
We're excited
Feelings
too.
mutual.
Yeah.
How are you doing, G3? What's up? With looking
I'm good.
radiant tonight as usual.
Thanks. I glow from the inside. I'm good. My dumb dog stepped on a piece of glass right before this, so it was like,
Oh,
hurry up, surgery. But we're good.
Is that
So, I have like adrenaline pumping right now from that. I was like, I gotta be on time. So there you go.
I hear you. Are you gonna like rub some moon water on it? Does that like help the
I had a jar of moon water from the last one, so I just took his whole leg and dunked it in it. Swirled
There
it
you go.
around. It was there and easy to clean it that way. You know?
Just make sure it's not from the blood moon, and I think
No,
I think we'll
this
be okay.
is just the regular cold moon.
Well, I have to say, G3, I listened to your excellent appearance on the Your Average Grow podcast
Thank
over the
you.
weekend. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. I
and-
love the boys. They're just so much fun and so easy to talk to. So big shout out to Johnny and Rev.
Yeah, they're doing a good job over there. And I learned a shit ton about all sorts of sorcery that I never thought I would would. And to be honest, I learned that horoscopes are probably 100% legit.
Yep.
Who knew?
Yep. How about that? We're on to something.
Pretty interesting
Yeah.
how, the physical universe can tell us things. I find it pretty fascinating myself, to be honest with you.
I'm pretty ignorant to all that shit, but I 100% believe that there is a connection there. You know what? I don't know, but definitely something to be said there.
Yeah, I'm ignorant to it as well, but I'm fascinated by it though.
Yeah.
That's my goal, to slowly let witchcraft creep through the gardens of the tent pirates. Something's wrong. Checklist 1. Is it watered? Does it have moss agate? Has it been fed? Do we have moon water?
Gotta check your energies. Are
Yep.
your energies vibing with one another, or are they out of sync, out of phase?
Absolutely.
But
Yep.
yo, Monster, what's up? Welcome back, man. You had a busy weekend too.
I did. Went to the Emerald Cup in California, Santa Rosa. It was a fucking blast. I definitely partied a little too hard, and I'm paying for it now. I have a pretty bad cold. But I mean, you stuffed me in that tin box for fucking 8 hours twice in one weekend. You almost guaranteed to get sick.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
well worth it. I would get sick anytime again for this fucking trip. I had a blast.
It
Shout out
wasn't
to the Dynamico crew for making it happen.
right
Honestly,
on.
it was awesome. I had a real good time. Me and Big Green Guy kind of tore it up the whole weekend. Shout out to him as well. He's
Happy
actually the one who.
birthday!
Yeah, happy birthday, dude! I hope you're watching. He
Oh,
actually
man.
won the trip from
Okay.
Dynamico and had a choice to bring a friend, and I'm honored that he thought of me. It was cool. We had a real fucking good time. I'll tell you, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have missed my flight back. Because what happened is our initial flight got canceled, so we're sitting at the airport, and at this point, I'm fucking done, right? I mean, I should have had a pedometer on or something, but I mean, we probably walked like at least 8 miles each day, on top of like all the other walking around with like backpacks and shit like that. So by Sunday night, I was already spent. I just didn't have anything left, and he was smart enough to go on like United's website after our flight got canceled and look for another one, and he found one, but we had like 10 minutes to get there, and I'm fucking running around. I actually didn't think he was gonna find one because I was looking at the weather, and I'm like, dude, the weather's shit, everything's getting canceled back to fucking Boston. And we actually found one from California to Newark, so we got off in Newark, and then I swear to God, dude, I'm not even joking you, the terminal we had to get on from in Newark to catch the flight in Boston, it must have been like a 2 mile walk if it was anything. And at that point, I'm already fucking done. We only had like 15 minutes to get there. Yeah. Shout out to BGG for getting me home. I might still be in an airport somewhere if it wasn't for him.
What's
I
that
love that
movie
guy.
like?
Relatively responsible.
Yeah. Do you know? Isn't there a movie about that? Like a dude who like lived in a terminal.
I don't
got
know.
stuck
It
there.
sounds funny.
I think there is, man.
I think it's
you're
called
right. Yeah.
Maybe
the
it's called
Terminal.
The Terminal.
The
I think
terminal.
it is. Yeah.
Man, they must have took him months to come up with that title.
Yeah, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Actually,
Tom
it's
Hanks?
I think I was thinking of that, right? Because it's based on a true
Mhm.
story, and there was actually a man who lived in a terminal in a French airport for like 20 years, man, and he just died. Yeah, he just died like very recently. I saw a news report about it. That's I guess what I had it on my mind. But hey, rest in peace,
How the fuck did he afford
dude.
to live in a terminal, dude? I was paying like $8 for a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Well,
Fucking-
he once he got past security, it was a free ride. He just posted up, I guess. I don't know. I honestly don't know, man.
I'm gonna have to look into that. That's pretty wild. Yeah.
Right?
I find it fascinating that they don't want to let you bring any liquids past security. It's because when you get through, you get to pay, like I said, like $8 for a bottle of water at the fucking terminal stores. So yeah,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah. And hold on,
so-
big shout out to Logan Airport. Fuck you, Hunter. They tore my bag apart when I went going through security to get there. Like literally tore both my bags apart, dumped all my shit out, patted me down, like practically strip searched me. BGG's just sitting there laughing. I can't blame him. It was pretty funny.
You look like a felon.
Yeah,
They must
yeah.
just wanted to touch you, dude.
You know, I get it. You know, but usually it's the ladies. This dude was a guy, so I'll take it. You know? He didn't even buy me a drink though, which was kind of rude.
Exactly.
But anyway,
even
we
get
had
a
we had
number.
a blast. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get BGG on maybe next week. Maybe talk about
Yeah.
like a Emerald Cup special because
Yeah.
man, it
Once
looked
you
like you
get
guys
there
had
you
a
go.
blast.
Way
Now-
too much fun.
What have you ever been down there, Chad? I know you live out like in the west, you know.
Yeah,
Still a
so
ways
Santa
off.
Rosa's north of me. Yeah, I'm between like LA and San Diego, but about 30 miles inland from the coast. So
That's
pretty
like a
far down here.
12-hour drive, right?
I don't know. I think so, somewhere around there. Yeah.
I know it's about an 8-hour drive from like the San Diego area. So I don't know
Okay,
where
there you
you're
go.
at.
I'm about an hour from San Diego, depending on
Yeah.
traffic. Yeah, about an hour and 20 minutes from Mexico. I'm pretty far down there.
Yeah, so you're closer to
Oh.
Mexico than anything else, really.
Yeah, Yeah. Closer to San Diego is probably the nearest major city to me. LA is a little bit farther than San Diego, which is fine because I don't fancy LA myself. I prefer to stay away from there. I'd way rather go to San Diego.
Yeah.
So I'm all good with it, man.
Some of the best weather on earth, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it sure is, man.
Mm.
Today was a cold day for us, and it was a high of 55. Um,
Oh,
that's a pretty chilly day for us. The low
yeah.
right now is, about between 32 and 35 is the low.
Oh,
So
shit. That's
yeah, that's
like,
that's all I know.
do you know what like zone that is in terms
Gardening?
of yeah,
Yeah,
gardening like climate?
zone 9,
All right.
9B, 9. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
man.
kind of a weird one, to be honest. I mean, yeah, it gets like really, really hot in the summer, but then it gets
Mhm.
almost freezing,
It's
you know?
almost opposite. I was talking to my dad. My dad lives in Alabama, and he's kind of made comments before like, "Ah, fucking California, it's so fucking ugly and there's just dead weeds everywhere and shit," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's true, Dad, but at the same time, that's just in the summertime, you know what I mean? Because like here, it's like the summertime is when everything goes dormant. That's like our winter is in the summer. It gets so damn hot, and it's so dry. There's no rain. So the summertime, everything just goes dormant, right? And then in the fall, like November and right now, everything's getting green. All of our native grasses are coming in. Flowers are coming out. It's like spring. It looks like spring, and a lot of places like that's what's happening here. And so it's kind of cool, man, because we really don't get a freeze. I think last year there was one time I got like a notification on my phone saying, "Warning, like a freeze is coming. Cover your succulents, like that jade you got behind you."
Yeah.
Stuff like that, because I have a lot of those outside. So, I'll go out there and I'll have to cover them just for one night, and that's it. So, dude, I've grown like autoflower cannabis outdoors during the winter, with just hardly 12 hours of light, and it's, super cold. And if it's
Works,
gonna get,
huh?
yeah, dude, I've done it, man. I mean, they don't get huge,
Do
but
they take longer to finish?
I would say yeah, but it's hard to tell. It's really hard to really tell, but my gut wants to say yes, like maybe a couple of weeks, because there's some strains that I've had, that the genetics that from back in the Mandalorian genetics days, where it takes it to like F8. It's extremely stable, and then so I'll grow that like a bunch of times, and like when I grow it outdoors, it seems to go a little bit longer than the indoor one. So I don't
The
know if
only
that
reason
was.
I ask is because when you said like barely 12-hour light, it kind of triggered like a bell in my head because I fucked around before with throwing an auto in a flower room just to see what would happen,
Mhm.
and something that would normally take like 65 to 75 days took like over 100. And it was
Oh, did it really?
yeah,
Oh, I haven't
but that was only
experienced
like
that,
only
but
one time. It was a
oh,
Stilton
okay.
special.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
threw
didn't experience that, but it did seem to take a little bit longer. It's just cold, it is cold. I mean, it's
yeah.
not comfortable to walk outside and it's, 45 degrees, you know what I mean? It's still cold. So plants, they slow down, because of the cold, but they'll still grow, dude. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the benefit of where we live. But then again, like it's difficult for me to grow tomatoes during the summer, because it gets so damn hot that they won't. They'll drop their flowers. They just won't. They just suffer. They struggle. So
Yeah.
it's hard to grow stuff outdoors in the midsummer here. But other than that, beautiful, man. I'm pretty fortunate, and it's all I know. I was born and raised here, so uh, I haven't really experienced anything else.
It's pretty good climate, man. I mean, plants love it at least. You can say that,
Mm-hmm.
Everything seems to grow very well out there. But yeah, I had to bring my lemon tree inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is still adapting. It's not happy at all. Like it just any kind of, change in what's going on, plants get upset, but I think citrus in particular, very, very sensitive to that type of stuff. And even though it's upstairs in a tent now, it's got a whole tent to itself on you know, it's got a grow light, same one I harvested a couple plants from underneath like a couple weeks back. turned way down, way down. I think I have the light schedule on like 12-12, just maybe it's like 14-16 something, or 14-10. Yeah, that would be right. Not sure, but it's just not thrilled, and I'm hoping it'll pull through soon. Yeah.
Yeah, it will, man. It's probably just shocked or something,
Yeah. If
okay.
anyone's like anyone out there is like a citrus master, and they you know your stuff with the citrus fruits in containers, message me, please. I need help. How much should I water? When do I water?
I wouldn't water it too much, man. I don't. I'm not an expert on citrus, but I would underwater rather than overwater. Yeah.
It's kind of like, I think it's all plants, to be honest. It's just like the same rules apply. Like they like to be wet, but not too wet. Like, what does that mean?
Citrus doesn't like wet feet. I know that.
Mm-hmm. That's
they don't like to be watered until like the top inch or two of the soil is nice and dry.
They're susceptible to root rot for sure. I do know that, man. Yeah, I've got a lemon tree as well, and it's struggling right now too. It's funny, and they grow fine here, but
even
I transplanted it. That's why I dug it out of the ground and moved it, and its roots were already established, so it sucks. But it'll be all right. It'll pull through.
Did you use like myco, the same like when you methods like you would use with cannabis when you transplant? Did you use?
I did,
like Dino Myco or something? When
I do use Dino Myco, man. I actually need to get some more. I'm almost out. But,
it's funny.
Unless it's a brassica or things like that mycorrhizal fungi they don't have a relationship with, like brassicas and certain plants. So I won't use it and stuff like that because it's pointless. But anything else, yeah, dude. I'll even use Dino Myco like sometimes when I'm transplanting just flowers. Because it does work. It works pretty good, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, it does. I've seen the results with cannabis, but like, so I would imagine there's a list of. I mean, I am ignorant to that. Like, what plants it doesn't quite pair with and have a relationship. You said brassicas, but yeah, I guess.
What the fuck's a brassica? I'm sorry, I have no clue what that is.
That's okay, man. Like broccoli.
Oh, okay.
Things of that nature. Yeah.
Cauliflower.
Yeah, stuff like that. It just doesn't. Mycorrhizal fungi doesn't have a relationship.
That means I wasted a shitload of it this year in my fucking garden. I had no idea. Yeah. Now, is it they don't thrive on the endo, or do they need ecto, or they just don't thrive on any of it?
I don't know if they go the other way with because like the Dino Myco stuff, I think is endo, right?
Yep.
So I don't know if they have a relationship with the ecto mycorrhizal fungi or not. I actually learned that from Ari from Dino Myco on an episode I did with him on the Autoflower podcast. He kind of went into that. So if you get a chance to peep that episode, you can. Sorry, it's a little plug there, but yeah, if you can check that out, he goes into detail. He goes into detail like pretty good about some things like that. Yeah, he goes into. There's other plants too that he mentioned that I don't remember.
Yeah,
that it won't work with.
Because I know that there are certain types of plants, like mostly like woody things, like trees and stuff like that. A lot of them won't be affected by the endo. They need the ecto mycorrhizal. So I'm wondering if, for instance, broccoli and things like that. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea. I'll have to ask Ari anyway.
I wonder if I should be using it on my lemon trees and stuff. It might be wasteful. I'm not sure. Yeah, but definitely like any other plants, especially cannabis and stuff, it's usually one of the things that I prefer to put in there for sure.
I was talking to Captain about it, like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. It's kind of funny how this whole thing kind of transpired. I was like, dude, have you ever heard of Dino Myco? He's like, yeah. I'm like, man, I've been just fucking around with it, and I've been noticing some great results. It's definitely better than a lot of the rest. And then, boom, this shit popped up with the Dino Myco trip. So, I don't know. Everything happens for a reason, right?
Man.
Yeah. I'm glad you're liking it, man. It definitely is a good product.
Yeah, for sure. Great company too. And what I did is I wanted to reach out to a company to do an episode about mycorrhizal fungi, and there's a few to choose from, right? And so I went in totally unbiased, and I just went kind of on the back end and did a bunch of research and stuff. And and I'm not a biologist or anything, man, but from a layman's like understanding, um, it's the strain that they get. It's from Israel. It's like from the Dead Sea, and it's this extremely like strong, robust, I think, strain of mycorrhizal fungi that they're able to culture, and it's at like this really I forget the lingo, man, but something like with the propagules and stuff like that. It's like these other guys that you get it from. It's dude, there's like there's hardly anything
Yeah,
in
well,
there, and
it's
there's like
the
other stuff thrown in, and
There's a lot of fillers, like other things too, and it's also the way they're manufacturing it. So if you look at those little pellets, those are actually like little, almost like vermiculite. Well, they are. They're like vermiculite pellets,
mm,
right? And they're inoculating those pellets with the mycorrhiza, and it's actually, for layman's terms, breeding inside that pellet, like while it's being manufactured. So it's definitely different than a lot of other
mm.
products. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah. And so I came to the conclusion that they probably had the best quality product on the market, and so that's when I reached out to him, and then ended up recording an episode with him and
nice.
stuff. So yeah.
My first contact with them was about 2.5 years ago, maybe a little longer, or I don't know, a year and a half. I don't know. I reached out to them, to Ari, and I said, "Hey, do you mind can you send a sample?" And he's like, "No, we generally don't give out samples. Here's a coupon code. Go buy it." And I was like, "That's what's up." And I actually did anyway. But yeah, it's cool when fucking you get that response from a company. I don't mind those responses. Like, no, we don't give samples. Okay, cool. Like,
Mhm.
basically in other words, like, no, we know our product is awesome. Go buy it. We don't need to send you a sample.
Their marketing's on point too, dude. I know that doesn't really actually like have anything to do with the quality of the product, but I just love their look from a former graphic designer like perspective. It's like their logos and their little dynamite sticks and shit. They're just cool, man. They make it fun, like Daz does. He just makes it fun.
Yeah.
A night owl,
They they measure all. I did a quick, cursory little, comparison on like different. I used a great white, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
Myco I've always used. It's fine, it works, does its job, has a bunch of different types of bunch of different strains, like you said, of the
Mm-hmm.
Myco. So I think it will work in like a variety of pHs and
Mm-hmm.
kind of break down different nutrients in the soil, make them plant available. And the point is, they're measured in colony forming units. That's CFUs.
Mm.
And it's all like on the back of, I wish I had the canister. It shows, exactly how many CFUs are present in that container of which strains. And like, yeah, if you just look at the numbers, Dino has a lot more than the others.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that means you have to use less or um, it's stronger, I guess that it counts for something. And yeah, I think like because it comes from the Dead Sea, it's a strain of maybe they have a particular strain that is specific to that region and those soil conditions, which are, I mean, extremely harsh, like
Mm-hmm.
very salty, like it's probably very tough for anything to grow in and around the Dead Sea. And
Mm-hmm.
I imagine like this particular strain of Myco is what helps the stuff that does grow, it needs this relationship with that Mike. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just spitballing. I don't know.
Yeah, man, spit it out, brother. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, man. Just the way all that stuff works. It's crazy, dude. The way fungi and everything works is just mind blowing. All of it is. It's just
It
insane. Have you
is. It
seen
is.
Fantastic Fungi on Netflix?
Yeah, dude,
Oh my god.
absolutely.
So
That's a great
good, man.
documentary.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Oh, now
I
you
love
got to
it.
watch Fantastic Fungi on Mushrooms. Now that'll be.
There you
I
go.
think that would almost be a religious experience.
Yeah.
Like that would kind of freak me out, maybe a
Come
little
out
bit.
enlightened with Buddha next to you.
For real, man. For
Hey,
real.
man, we
but
almost fucking forgot. What the hell's everybody smoking on tonight?
that's a good question.
Let's
Well,
start with our guest Chad.
yeah,
Chad,
please,
what do you got
Chad.
tonight, buddy?
Yeah, I got some. I've actually got some Paul and Chuck Hayes, which is just a product of chucking pollen.
I love the
Autoflower.
fact that that's what you call it. Like
Paul and
Like
Chuck.
Paul
Yeah.
and Chuck, like the names, like Paul and
Yeah, I
Chuck.
even did like the Apostle Paul and Chuck Norris, like a little graphic a long time ago. But yeah. How about you guys?
That's cool, man. Well,
I'm
what's it
smoking on
like?
some,
What's hold on,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
What's
okay.
it
I'm
like,
sorry.
man? Give me a little terp description,
Oh
brother.
yeah.
I
Smells
gotta
like
get the goods.
it smells like most of the phenotypes smell kind of like a mix between Fruity Pebbles and like skunk, like skunkiness, cheesy, kind of like a mix. And then sometimes it'll go one way or the other. But typically, it's weird. Typically, when I grow it, it just smells straight like Fruity Pebbles. It doesn't even smell like you're growing cannabis. You know what I mean? And then I'll harvest it and dry it, and then some of those other terpenes, for some reason, start coming out more. But and it's kind of a sativa leaning autoflower. I crossed a Haze
Sorry, sir.
XL.
We call those narrow leaf varieties around here.
There you go.
Or
Hey, I
he
like
does.
that. I like that actually.
Well, just to be pedantic.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
because
I'm
there's
sorry.
nuance and there's nuance over
This
there in that area.
captain is
Sativa
shallow and
indica.
pedantic.
But yeah, it's kind of so it's more of a, I would say it's more of a like a daytime type strain, you know what I mean? But it works well for my Tourette's. It just kind of hits the spot, man. And it's pretty, I think it's pretty low THC and stuff, if I'm honest. Like I don't really know. I haven't had it tested, but I think, is it the big green guy or is it somebody else, man? One of them, like somebody's wife uses it, and I'm so sorry that I don't remember exactly who. I feel bad.
The big green guy. Who
I think it might
says
be. Yeah, I think
like
it's his wife uses it for anxiety.
Yeah.
And so there's something there for me as well where it works good for my anxiety. And so if I can keep my anxiety down, then I can keep my ticks down. You know, that way, because they're embarrassing. You know, if you're walking in a grocery store and I'm, you know, doing something like that, or I chip my tooth. I don't know if you can see that. Check this out. No, I chipped my tooth like literally about, I think it was 8 seconds before I was going on the Future Cannabis Project YouTube channel. I was going live on there with them, and I chipped my tooth like right before I was getting on camera and going on there because I was ticking. So if I can keep my anxiety down, like I can keep my ticks down, and it helps with my anxiety. So I know I rabbit trailed there, but
Oh no,
that's
dude,
pretty much where
well,
it's at. Yeah.
here to follow up your rabbit trail just a little bit. I I have Tourette syndrome too, and that's
Do you?
one of the reasons. Yeah, I do, and
Okay.
was diagnosed when I was in like 3rd grade, way back, and I was given a lot of shit for it growing up, back before anyone knew about it, really. And I spoke briefly about it on my appearance on the Your Average Grow podcast, so go check that out. But dude, that's one of the like reasons that I connected with you like right off the bat, because you know your name on IG is Tourette Grower. You're not like, you were upfront about like this helps my Tourette syndrome, and like straight up, I learned that very early in life, very early, before anyone had ever used the term like medical marijuana. It was like, man, I knew this was the best medicine for Tourette's, and like amen to that. So
Yeah, for sure, man. They wanted to, that's fascinating, dude. I don't think I knew that about you. And if you've shared that with me before, I'm sorry that I wasn't thoughtful in
probably not.
listening to that. But that would have been something I think I would have caught caught and picked up
Yeah,
on.
no,
But
probably not.
anyways, man, that's crazy, dude. I
It's the
don't
best.
meet very many people with it. So my son has it. My 15-year-old son, he has it because it's genetic.
Yeah, genetic. Yeah.
So, but yeah, when we were kids, right? I don't know how old you are. I'm 42. I don't know if you're around my age or.
Like a couple years younger.
All right. So, I was gonna crack a joke that wouldn't be very nice, so I
Oh,
won't
you
do
can
that
crack,
because
dude.
we're not
Please
that
crack
close. I
a
don't think.
joke.
I was gonna say, well, you sure look a hell of a lot fucking older.
Is it all this
It-
gray?
it's
Is that
the
what?
gray
No,
fucking
I'm just,
beard.
No, I know,
I'm just
man.
kidding,
I
dude.
know.
Yeah, I didn't know that, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean,
When
truly,
we,
it's the best medicine. I was prescribed to some like antipsychotic bullshit. I forget what it was even called. Like, and it used to just like it gave me really fucked up dreams and like just made me
Neurotin?
feel like shit. Say it again.
Was it Neurotin?
No. I would know it if I heard it, but it's not that. Like, it was just some really like intense, like just a psychoactive. I don't know if it maybe not. That's not the right word, but it was
antipsychotics.
Yeah, it was just a bad thing, man.
That's what they wanted to put me on, was antipsychotics, and I was like, but I'm not psychotic. I have Tourette syndrome.
Yeah,
And they're like, yeah, but
how they
antipsychotics
treat it.
work, and that sounded so harsh to me,
Yeah,
dude. I was
that's how
like,
they treat it.
yeah, I don't think I'm comfortable with that. And so they started putting me on anti-anxiety medicine instead, which are just antidepressants, right? So they gave me like Wellbutrin. That's the first one they gave me, and this was back in like the early 2000s, and a lot of these medicines were kind of still newer.
Yeah, they didn't
I don't
know
know
what.
about Wellbutrin, but man, they put me on Wellbutrin, dude. Whoo, man, I'm not even kidding, dude. It started making me suicidal. I had to get off immediately, and then so I went in, and then you're already in this spiral. You know what I mean? Like you start taking some of those medicines, dude, and you're already in it, and then you got to get off of it, and then it starts kind of making you you lose your bearing, dude. So they ended up landing on Zoloft, and I'm still on Zoloft, but I went from 250 milligrams down to right now I'm on 25. That's a big difference. And it was, I couldn't, but I
10%.
could never even get down to 200. It was like every time I would try to cut it down, it would just like these weird things start happening, and you get these things called like these zines. Like I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but people who take Zoloft and try to get off of it, they're familiar with it. It's all over the forums and everything. You get these weird like electrical shocks that jolt your body and all kinds of weird stuff. And I could never get down
Wow,
below 200 milligrams. And then
that's really scary.
yeah, man, it sucked. But once I started using cannabis and stuff, it helped me gradually knock that down to where now I'm on 25. So I really do credit the cannabis for that. You know what I mean? It really did help me get down to where I'm at right now. So, but yeah, when you and I were kids, man, it's like they didn't, even the word Tourette's really wasn't popular, and we didn't know. People would just tell me like, "Stop, dude, what are you doing with your eyes?" You know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
it's a bad habit. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm not. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's and but yeah, and dude, like I went through the ringer with it too, and ended up like having to fake take the medicine that they gave me, but then like go out after school and like smoke weed with my buddies. But and then I realized like I made the connection, like holy shit, I'm not taking my medicine, but my ticks are like way better than they were. What's the difference here? What's the cannabis, right? And yeah, no, it's again,
Captain, do you? At the risk of being an asshole, do you mind if I ask you a personal question live on air? Do you still take the medicine at all for the Tourette's?
No, I don't. I don't take any.
The reason I
don't
ask is because you would never fucking know. I've been around you personally a couple times, and like, so the cannabis is obviously working for you.
Because I'm high as a motherfucker all the time, man.
Therapy. There
No,
you go.
it's my
Punch your ass into orbit. You'll be okay.
I don't know about you, Captain, but like for me, it was worse when I was a kid. In my
Yeah,
adult years, it has gotten better for me, and I don't
100%.
I don't tick as much, and my mind is still
It can either
whatever you want to call
it
it.
can go one of two ways, apparently. Like I've read up a little bit about it, it's something I've always kind of had a little bit of interest in, and I always had a very mild case too.
Mm,
And I feel, man, I'll just say I feel for people out there with it, like as a really bad case and like a verbal tick, and
hmm
like they're just yelling things in the line at the bank, and
hmm
it's just like I can't even imagine the
Yeah,
nightmare. Um,
yeah.
but like it, and there are some funny scenes in movies. We all know, like it's when
Yeah.
that's a whole different
I don't
ramble
take
there. I
offense to
won't even
stuff
get
like
into that.
that myself. I don't. Yeah.
I don't either, man. And my friends used to be like, when they found out what it was, man. Once I always say, like, once Deuce Bigelow came out, it was like, Tourette syndrome was suddenly everyone's favorite thing, and they thought it was funny. I'll edit that out. That's for the true listeners out there. But like, hey, you have Tourette syndrome. Like, you can get away with murder in class. Why don't you like just go ahead and like yell out crazy words in the middle of a chorus class? And then I would just be like, all right, I think I can do that. So I played it up a little bit, but not too
Yeah.
much, man. Not too much. So dude, I have to say, like I've always kind of found that the broadleaf varieties um tend to work a little bit better for me on that sense.
Yeah. I found that for me, it's all about the terpenes.
Maybe maybe it is. I just
I think it's more, but because I don't know though. Yeah, I don't know because there is something about certain ones like like Blue Dream, like strains like that. They do work really well, and so people say those are a sativa leaning hybrid, right? That's the lingo. So that's kind of what I always say, like a sativa leaning hybrid, like whatever that really means at the
Well,
molecular
generally
level.
speaking,
But
and that's why it's generally speaking. I mean, there are going to
mhm.
be a lot of terps that are associated with sativa, and then there are going to be a lot of terps associated with indica or narrowleaf or broadleaf, however you want to put it. So I guess it makes sense in a lot of ways. But that's why we try to say narrowleaf and broadleaf, because if you look at it, there are many strains that have similar terpenes that can be indica or sativa. So you really can't just classify cannabis as those two things.
I think
Right,
it's
especially
also
based off. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
well, I think it's personally because this the hybridization has gone like just it's jumped the shark. Everything's a hybrid now, a hybrid of a hybrid of a hybrid. So it's like, where do you even draw the line between the two? And it's truly in the expression of the plant where you're going to see the differences. And like the most obvious visual difference you're going to see in phenotypes is broadleaf and narrowleaf. And
Mhm.
that's, I think, like, you might get a certain phenotype that's more of a sativa leaner as opposed to an indica leaner and a given strain, stuff like
Yeah.
that. I feel like I say it in jest, of course. And, I think it was Alabrije we had on who suggested we use that kind of lingo. But
I like it.
I am
Like,
getting used to it.
didn't he like sedating and stimulating?
Hmm.
He
I
also
like
used
that.
that,
That's
yeah.
good. That's good. Yeah. And so I didn't mean like, because for me it's almost like there's, because with broadleaf and narrowleaf, I mean, you can have a mix and match of all kinds of different terpenes, right? So like,
Mm.
but there's something about fruity terpenes, whether it's narrowleaf or broadleaf, that tend to work better for me for some reason. And the cheesy, skunkier ones, they don't for some reason. And so, so there's that. But then over here, it's like, the full broadleaf, like what you would call, what some people would call an indica, those don't seem to work as well as the more narrow leafed or sativa for me. But it's got to be a mix for me almost, because if I go one way or the other, like if it's like, some of these strains are like they'll make me anxious, man. They just go, they just like make me
Yeah.
crazy. You know what I
Like
mean? And
that,
some of them, I'm like, just like a dead catfish on the couch, just So I don't want that either. That doesn't help. I mean, it'll put me to sleep, but I'd prefer not to go down that route. So for helping the Tourette's, yeah, there's something about those fruity terpenes, and there's something about kind of, I guess, a hybridization for me, not one way or the other. And then so if you take like a hybrid with fruity terpenes, which is kind of what this Paul and Chuck Hayes is, it's like that's it for me right there. Yeah. That's why I hang on to it. It's not a beautiful strain. It's like if it was to become a strain, it would need so much work. I mean, there's so many runts and stuff in there. You know what I mean? But it works so well for me, man. I just keep rolling with it,
It's got some medicinal quality, man. Like, honestly, hey, and as a one Tourette syndrome sufferer to another, if you got any beans, send them my way.
I do. I'd love to send you some, bro.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do, and I
I would
will.
love to.
And that's an
Just-
auto?
Yeah, regular autoflower seeds. So you're gonna get male and female, but you'll have to
That's
cull
all
the
good.
males. And,
It's all good. But hey, appreciate it, man. That's really cool. And now you were talking fruity terpenes, and I suppose that would make a good segue to, man, what we originally started talking about, I guess, was what we're smoking on, and then we went on a Tourette syndrome tangent. But that's all right. Like I knew it was going to come up at some point.
That was a fun adventure.
Yeah. So I'm glad we did it. Now we're back.
On, man.
Now
we're back.
But, so I have fresh out of the. Well, I did a little trimming over the weekend, and I have a newly harvested Night Owl Autoflower strain from the man Daz himself, and it's called Blue Sprayed Shoes Remix, which I think Elvis put that track out, and then Pitbull did a remix, and it's.
I think Elvis's was Blue Suede Shoes.
Oh, this all right. Maybe
you were close though.
No, I know. There's no Pitbull remix of Blue Suede Shoes either, but maybe there should be. Just saying, Pitbull, if you're listening.
Yeah, shout out to Pitbull. You suck, but we want to see you make a remix of it.
So, it's the remix because I suppose it's like the part 2. I guess he made a first version of this particular strain. I don't know what the lineage is, guys.
Maybe he flipped mom and dad.
This is why we have her around, guys. She's just way smarter than all of us, but way more intuitive, and logical, yes. But thank you. That makes a lot of sense. So the parents have been mixed, and all right. But again, I don't know the lineage. I want to say actually I do.
It's
Believe it or not,
microverse, right?
It's Blue Microverse,
and then
Tyrone Stomper, if I am not mistaken. Which is one of his, like, I don't think it was ever kind of like released on its own. Maybe I'm mistaken, right? But as far as I know about Tyrone Stomper, it's like it's like a different phenotype of sour stomper that he kind of like took down a different path. So it's got a lot of that in it, that sour, funky kind of lime and lemon kind of quality. But yeah, this one comes out in a more like, definitely has citrus in it. But it's more like orangey. It's more orangey. And this has like, it's a fantastic smell, really. It's reminds me of clementines a little bit, but in like, it has like a jelly sort of, like a preserves. we'll just go with like apricot preserves. Does that make
That's
sense?
delicious.
I know it's not like citrus, but we're gonna go over to the stone fruit family. Apricot preserve.
Okay.
And it's awesome. Yeah, really cool. So like a little bit of fruity and funky on the back end, but it's mostly just fruit. And yeah, let me give her a toot here while shoot, who's up next?
Go with G3. What do you got in the pipe
The
tonight, hon?
last of my miracle berry, also in
Ah.
Reno.
I was totally
Um,
expecting wedding cake. Because
mm-mm.
those no? Okay.
Nope.
Tell
I
me
have
tell
that
me more
here.
about
I could switch, but no, this is the last of the miracle berry, and I like it was so good. I've been saving it. Just couldn't stay away from it any longer. I have my other meth wedding is coming down. I think tonight,
Oh, nice.
so we'll see. And then my
Late
tiny tip
late
bottle
night for you then, huh?
forever. Well, not really, because I just chop her and flip her, and that's about it.
That's all you got to
I'll
do,
take
really.
up
I mean,
big fans, really, like
yeah.
some tonight and some over the course of the next couple days, really. I take my time.
It honestly depends on how busy I am, whether I even bother taking off big families.
Mhm.
More plants I have, I tend not to bother, honestly, and I don't have any problems. I
I
guess it
like to
all
use it as
depends.
an excuse. I
Yeah.
gotta go trim the plant real quick and like take
Yep.
10 minutes and be like, okay, take a couple leaves off, go back and face everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with two little ones running around the house, I can understand that.
What about you, monster? What you got?
Was that like your version of a Tourette's tick, or was that like you
No, that
fucking?
was. I think that's what like Chad described as like a one of those like shocks to my system.
Yeah.
But it was
Uh,
from the cannabis that time. I just like,
uh,
like
like threw you back in your seat, huh? Like,
huh.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It was really weird. I don't know.
kind of looked like a Kramer
Caps.
moment there.
I don't know
Like,
how to explain
yeah,
that one. Yeah.
Your puppet master
It's
sneezed.
yeah. I'm myself. I'm puffing on some Cherry Smash from In-House Genetics. It's one of my favorites.
bird.
Yeah, it's a great smoke. True cherry flavor. Um, it gets me high, but not too high, if that makes sense. Like it still allows me to function. So it's great podcast weed. Um, but I'm gonna take another edible while we're here.
Going in for the big dogs, huh?
Oh man, I need my fucking head is all fucked up from this trip. I'm sick.
Hmm.
The I actually didn't consume any cannabis until like a couple hours ago. Since I got back, I got back yesterday around 1 p.m. I think I was still high for most of the day. Um,
Doesn't shock me at all.
no. Shout out to NorCal Cannabis. Cannabis, sorry. Dude is a
Yeah.
fucking legend. All right. Him and his wife are some of the coolest people I think I've ever met in my life. They weren't too far from the event. I think they were about a 3 or 4 hour drive. So they drove up with a bag full of goodies for everybody. He had brownies, he had like herb, and he was just passing out joints the whole fucking day. It was awesome. He came through with some Tropicana Slurricane that was fire. And then I think he had some other stuff called, I think it was Miracle Berry. Really, really good as well. But you know me, I'm a sucker for anything with Slurricane. And then the brownies. If anybody's listening that gets a hold of NorCal's brownies, be fucking careful. Be very fucking careful. They are literally the most potent things I've ever seen. I had a bite out of one, and I was like seeing double 3 or 4 hours in. AJ from Gnome Automatics, he ate a whole one, and he passed out and missed the dinner Friday night. That they were that strong. Yeah. Yeah.
That's like not fun levels of high.
That'll
Like,
happen.
you're high.
Yeah, they're not brownies, honestly. They're chocolate flavored hash balls that are extremely dangerous. So beware. And shout out to the annoying girl at Emerald Cup. I don't know your name, but you were annoying the shit out of me. And NorCal popped up, so we had him give you a brownie. I hope you had fun.
An annoying girl.
Oh my god, dude! You have to ask BGG about her. This girl was driving me fucking nuts, dude. She wouldn't shut the fuck up. I'm just sitting there trying to do a couple dabs, and yeah. Anyway,
Man, dab in peace. God damn it! No, that's funny, man. It's funny, but
Was the annoying girl doing her job, or was she just chatting you up?
no, she was just talking my ear off. She was just another festival goer, you know. She wouldn't shut the fuck up. Like leave. I tried to like give her like cues and stuff. I didn't want to be rude. But like I got on the phone a couple times, like fake phone calls, like, and she just sat there the whole time. Like, didn't you come with somebody? Leave. And I'm not normally like that, but she was like totally like, I don't know, like I have pretty high energy, right? And she like was triple my energy and just too much. Fake eyelashes.
When Monster has to fake a phone call to get out of a conversation with you, you know you're just a toxic person.
Dude, super toxic. Super toxic.
That's bad, dude. Well, all's well that ends well, I guess. You're back.
Yeah.
We'll get into it, man. You tell all your stories next week.
All right.
This week, I want to talk to Chad. But dude, Chad. So my question for you, and again, as a fan, as a listener of the Autoflower Podcast, which I again was one of my first like learning experiences with the plant. You know, you taught me to grow. You and your guests more or less taught me the basics. Really, I heard about autoflowers, I think, on your show.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm just telling it like it is. And this was probably 2 years ago. Probably when you had just started, I imagine. You weren't too far in, but I went back, listened to all of them. And like you just presented everything in such a straightforward, beginner-friendly manner. I appreciated that. It was cool, man. I dug everything about the show, and I know a lot of people out there did. So, are you coming back?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you, man, for your kind words, dude. Appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And
Sure.
yeah, man, let me just mirror some of that back to you. You know, I appreciate you and all that you're doing. And, you got something good going on here, too. So I appreciate it, man. So mutual respect. But
Means a lot.
yeah, I think I am going to be coming back. Yes. But it's gonna be a little more low key. Might not be, I was really, really grinding at it hard. What started out as just, well, really, I went looking for a podcast to learn how to grow myself. And the only podcasts that were available seemed to be geared more toward commercial grows and things like that. And I was just kind of looking for like a home growers podcast, And I did find one. And oh man, I feel so dumb that I don't remember the name of it. But he still does a thing on YouTube, like growing with my fellow growers, and I think it was called.
I think that's it. They do it.
But he used to have a podcast like earlier called
Cheap
something.
Home Grow?
Yes, Cheap Home Grow. Yeah, that's it. So that's the only one I found, which I enjoyed. So I listened to that, and then I somebody handed me autoflower seeds, and I was like, man, I'll grow these out, and then I just got into growing autoflowers and thought the community could use another podcast, and geared toward the home grower, and that's kind of why I started it, and that's kind of how it all started, and then. During that time, I was self-employed, running a screen printing business, which you can see all the equipment behind me. I still have it. But when COVID hit and that tanked, You know, I was really grinding away at the podcast at that point because I was trying to kind of step in and make money off of it. You know, I was spending so much time doing it, and that worked. You know, that worked for a while, and it paid my mortgage, man, for a little bit. And I'm very thankful and grateful for everyone supporting that. And then I had a shift, and I, you know, am working full time now, gardening and farming, at a place not too far from my house, and it's 8 hours a day, and the time just isn't there to put in to the podcast. You know, I'm sure you guys know it takes a lot of work, man. And I was just flying it solo, you know, so I did do all the recording and do everything. And anyways, you know, I'm getting kind of long-winded
not
and
at all,
rabbit
man.
trailing, but
I have to ask though, like just as a one podcaster to another, man. And if you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but like you had a successful show going, like you said. I mean, if you had gotten enough support from the community that you had paid your mortgage from it, like
yeah, I was paying my mortgage every month with it. Yeah.
sounds like it was a successful business venture. So then what made you decide that you wanted to, like, I know you're working on like a farm now, you know, 8 hours a day, like you said, like why make that shift?
You know what, man? I asked the same question, to be honest with you, and all I can really do is answer. And you know, just this might land with some people well and with others not so well, but all I can really say is it was from an inner intuition and inner knowing, from almost like a spiritual sense, that I was to make a move, that it was time for me to do something different. And that's kind of how I roll. Like, I've noticed a pattern in my life, you know, way back in 2010, 2011, I became on fire, like fighting sex trafficking and traveling to Cambodia and doing all this stuff to help victims of sex trafficking and all this stuff. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm just saying, like, that was back when nobody really knew what it was. And I helped raise awareness in my local area, and you know, and now it's everywhere. Everyone knows it, and that's a good thing. But I felt like my time there was done, and it was just time for me to move on. You know what I mean? Like, I had a clothing line called Speak Against Injustice. I was involved with a 501c3 nonprofit. We imported coffee and sold it, and I made shirts and sold them, and we gave the proceeds to other, you know, nonprofits that were fighting sex trafficking. I was like really embedded in all this. Like, I really put my energy into it, and that's kind of how I roll too, man. Is when I put my foot in, like I throw my whole body in.
You get
And
in.
so, but I felt like my time there had ended, and some shifts were happening in my life, and I shifted and kind of exited out of that and went into something else. And kind of the same thing happened, man. I did the podcast, it took off, it was successful, and a shift just began to happen again within me, where I thought, it's time. I don't know who, what, when, or why, but it's just kind of time. And it's just this inner knowing and signs to look for, and confirmations and synchronicities and things that I believe in and that I value. And I just knew it was time. And so I got a wild hair up my ass one night. I was just sitting on my recliner, and I just started putting in job applications, man, to different places, because you know, a lot of the money from I'll just be transparent, a lot of the revenue from the podcast was coming from coupon codes. But those coupon codes can fluctuate, right? There's highs and lows, and they could fluctuate a lot in my experience. And it's no rhyme or reason. It's just kind of the way that was for me. One month it's like, holy crap, are you kidding me? Like who's buying this stuff? I can't believe who's listening to this stuff. How can I be making this much money? And then another month you're like, oh, you know, $14? Like what? It just depends, you know? So I was seeking and desiring something a little more comfortable and a little more
stable,
consistent and stable. Yeah. So I started looking for a job, found a few, threw in some applications, and this was one of them. I just found this orchard in Sage, California, which is about 20 miles from me, looking for somebody to come in and, you know, manage garden beds and take cuttings of olive trees and pomegranate trees and root them and just stuff like that. And I thought, oh, that'd be a cool gig. So I applied for that and back into the graphic design industry, but for somebody else. And then this place called me up and they were like, hey, was what was presented at first. So I just couldn't pass it up, man. I couldn't, I wanted to, and man, I also, I got tired of just digitally talking about farming and interviewing these natural farmers and KNF people and like regenerative farmers and this stuff that I'm passionate about. And, I'm processing all this stuff in a digital way, but I'm not getting my hands in the soil and I'm not getting dirty, man. You know what I mean? And I'm not doing this stuff at a large scale like I really want to. Like I started to really want to like just sell this freaking tract home and get the hell out of California and buy some land somewhere that I can farm, you know what I mean? And I started to have these desires. And so this place, I forgot where I was going with that. But anyways, this...
I can see that progression, actually, now that you mention it.
Mm-hmm.
And, having listened to your show, I mean, dude, like you said, you were super into the organic, regenerative type stuff. And just your interest in it came through naturally. And it is no coincidence that you ended up.
Yeah, and it's cool, man. It's cool
hearing that, like, as a, I don't know, listening to, like you said, your intuition about it. That's, I think, a really good lesson for people. So, I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta listen to that inner knowing. Most people ignore that inner knowing.
Hard.
It is hard. It is because your logic and our ego, so to speak, wants to latch on to safety and things that are familiar and to take a step out and to do something like that, I was nervous, man, when I first took the job, to be honest, because I'd never farmed like that at that large of a scale, which is actually a small scale in the farming world. Like what I'm doing is tiny. It's tiny. But to me, it's like big.
Any of that experience is translated to cannabis at all?
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, have you either done something there that you've done before, crafting cannabis for lack of a better word, and have you learned anything there that you can take over to the cannabis side?
That's a good question.
I don't think there's anything I've learned there yet. I think I will, but that I can bring over to the cannabis side. I think it's the other way around. Right now, it's the cannabis blew the door open for me to grow all kinds of other plants.
That makes sense. Honestly.
Yeah. The biggest thing I'm learning right now there is pest issues, but I'm not talking aphids and spider mites. I'm talking gophers and squirrels and birds and stuff like that.
You gotta on that capsaicin spray, man. That'll fucking fuck them all up.
Goddamn varmints!
That's originally why I created that spray. Why I made that, because I had rabbits and shit taking all my fucking plants at my father's garden. So we would spray that on there, and then you would notice like a nibble, right? And then they'd be like, "Fuck that shit, I'm out of here," because they don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I'm having to navigate and learn. But yeah, like I was saying, I wanted to get my hands dirty and not just always talk about it. I started to have that passion. So when this job kind of just fell into place, man, I took it, and I've been there for 6 months now. And so obviously working, full time, it's difficult to continue producing a podcast, because it usually would take me at least a full 8 hours of work to do one episode. And that's when I was really, really cranking and hammering into it too, and there are streamlines and ways to do it quicker. I just didn't want to and couldn't afford it. So, so I just kind of stopped and let go and just kind of started working. And now it's been months since I've produced an episode, but I've already actually been chatting with a couple of people to get onto the show, some new guests and some returning guests. And Yeah, man, we're gonna keep cranking it out. It's just gonna be more low key. I'm not gonna push, the business end of it as much anymore. I'm gonna do it more so because I love it and because people reach out to me and tell me that they like it as well and that they want it to come back. So, um, yeah, man, I think I'm gonna start hammering out some episodes here and there, maybe one or two a month, something like that. Would love to have you back on too, Captain.
Anytime you want, man. Anytime. No, I'm glad to hear that, and thank you for sharing that. You know, just a little bit of personal kind of situation, maybe. But I
Yeah.
think ultimately, like you said, it's just like you gotta listen to your gut,
Mm-hmm.
um, whatever it's telling you. And no, that's like, dude, you got to do it like just on a more low key basis. And another key thing I think you mentioned is a lot of times when you try to turn a hobby into a business, it might not be the best thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
combining those two. They say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. But it's also a slippery, making something you love and your hobby, something you enjoy doing, like a business, also takes kind of the fun out of it. Kind of strips the joy just a little bit, right?
Mhm.
I don't know,
Balance in all things.
a little bit. Yeah, man. I'm
Yeah, I
just
think that's it right there. I think, yeah, a balanced and peaceful and approach to all things. You know what I mean? Is needed. Yeah, because too much of anything isn't good. And so if you're an entrepreneur who's busting stuff out like 18 hours a day, which I wouldn't allow myself to work more than 8 hours, 10 hours a day. But if you're one of these people who's just busting this stuff out nonstop and that's all you do, you know, there's some caution there, in my opinion.
well,
Once it's no longer fun, then like you're in danger zone.
Hmm.
Those are big red flags when it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, because then your motivation and your passion changes from within you. It's not like it was,
Yeah.
when you're passionate about it and you're having fun and it's enjoyable. When you're doing something because you just kind of have to do it, it could become a drag. You know.
I relate to that a lot. I really do. But dude, I think I speak for everyone. We love the show. We miss you.
Thank you.
Just give us a little slice every now and then. That's all we ask for. No, that's come on, man. But man, you introduced Captain Autoflower to Autoflowers. So
Yeah, man, that's
gotta
cool.
hand, I gotta hand it to you. You were right on that train from the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, and what is it that drew you to Autoflowers? Like when you heard about them, why what made you start? I mean, you got hit. You said someone gave you seeds, but other than that,
Hmm.
you
That
just
was
grow
it,
them.
man. That was it. I mean, I was just looking to grow my own cannabis, right? I mean, I had just started using cannabis again after I don't even know how long, dude, 15, 20 years. And because the stuff that I would smoke with my buddies back in the day was, well, what we would call Mexi, like in California, and it was just loaded with seeds, and it was just, yeah, it was just horrible and harsh and dry and just stems, and it was
Weed.
just, it wasn't good. Yeah, it wasn't good. So I didn't feel that it really did anything for me medically, that stuff. I felt like sometimes it just gave me a damn headache. But that's because I was, a young guy making minimum wage at the time, just buying whatever was cheapest on the
I
street
always
because it was
assumed,
illegal, right? I mean, it was illegal then, so you just get what you can get. But
yeah, you get what you get.
you're
I always assumed the headaches was from the tinfoil bowl, but maybe that's just me.
or the soda can.
Right, exactly.
Done plenty of those. But yeah, so I was starting to use cannabis again, but I couldn't afford it, man. To get decent flour, I mean, it's here in California at least, you're gonna spend some money. And I don't have money to spend like that. And so I thought, like, well, why don't I just freaking grow it myself, man? You know what I mean? Just like anything else, just do it yourself. So I knew a guy who was growing autoflowers, and he handed me a bunch of seeds, and so I sprouted them and I started growing them, and that was just it, man. And I started my Instagram account, my Tourette Grower account, as I really started it as a journal. And a buddy of mine was helping me learn how to grow just over text messaging, and the data of me sending him pictures all the time. He had asked if we can find a different platform or something. So I just started this Instagram account, and he followed it. And he's the lead singer for Poor Man's Poison, which is a badass band, by the way, if you guys have never heard of them. But
Check 'em
anyways,
out.
yeah, Poor Man's Poison. Check it out. Ryan, he's the lead singer. He's the guy who taught me how to grow, basically. So yeah, so he followed me on Instagram, and then we would just kind of shoot the shit over there, and he would kind of give me his input, and then you're hashtagging and Autoflower, and then people start following you, and you follow them, and then you find this community, and then you become part of it, and it's just naturally just went that route, and I just had never really grown photo periods throughout all that time, and so I just stuck with the autos, and then when I started building relationships with other people, and I went to the first Autoflower Cup, and I got to meet Daz in person and hang out with him and Dan and all these other guys, and you just become part of the community, and and then Autoflower Podcast, and you lock in the name, and it's like, well, it's just Autoflowers from here on out, pretty much. But that's changing. I actually purchased some photo period seeds. And I'm gonna be yeah, and I just got like a 2 foot by 4 foot, but I think it's like 17 inches deep or something like that. I got a fabric bed that I'm gonna put in this tent right behind me, and I think I'm gonna grow a couple photo periods in there.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Have you ever grown photos?
A male. I grew a male once. Yeah, outdoors. OG
Yeah?
Kush. It ended up being a dude, and I let it grow, and
But
yeah,
never in
pollinated. I pollinated some autos with it, and then just chopped it. Yeah,
never
they
in a tent though.
never went anywhere. No, never in a tent. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to kind of experiencing that 12-12 cycle and letting that light rest a little longer, and being able to control when to flip them, rather than just letting it go on autopilot. And there's pros and cons to both, I guess. But I'm just looking to experience it, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll have to hit up Admiral Photo Period for some guidance.
He might
Dude,
be at the bottom of the briny deep.
I wish he was still around to help you, man. But, no, I think, dude, the community as a whole has everything you'd want to know. Just come on, you're in the Discord now, but every one of us has grown photos. Monster's probably, definitely the most experienced photo period of all of us. But some guys in the Discord and you'd be amazed with the level of scale and skill that some of these dudes really are working with.
We got a lot of good growers over there.
Yeah. But if basically I feel almost like in a lot of ways, okay, autos are easy to get your feet wet with. They're easy to get started growing, and it sounds appealing to a beginner, I feel like, because you don't have to fuck around with your light sealing your space. Essentially, you don't have to fuck around with changing your light schedule, and you can, like you said, flip them when you want. But I'm thinking photo periods now. Like, autoflowers do sound appealing, but they're tough in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, they are more challenging than photo periods. And like, if you can do them right from the get-go, dude, you're not going to have any issues with the photo periods. I don't think.
That's what I figured. Not to come across in that way, but I agree with you, man. Like, I don't think autoflowers are easier to grow than photo periods by any means, even though I've never really grown a photo period, but I don't
The
really
only
need
thing
to.
easier is the fact that you don't have to occupy your brain with the space of changing your light cycle, really. Other than that, no, I would say they're harder. There's a lot of things that you
Yeah.
can't control about them when they start, showing flowers, the height. Sometimes they can get fucking unruly. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
definitely
don't
not me.
mind changing a light cycle. I mean, that's no big deal to me. But like light leaks in a tent, those are things that I've been concerned about because I've always kind of purchased the cheaper tents, and then you know what? That's a good. Sorry, I just realized something. My daughter had her cats here for a couple of months, and they actually clawed my tent. So there's light leaks in that tent. I'm gonna have to address that if I'm gonna grow.
A little duct
Photo
tape.
periods. There we go. Yeah, but yeah, that's the reason that I kind of have always just stuck with the autos too. Is just not having to worry about light leaks and things like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to growing some photo periods, man. I think it's gonna be cool. I got some.
What do you got lined up?
Oh damn! Brain farting, man. What's his name? He's super popular. The dude that wears orange.
That's Jinx Proof, right?
Jinx Proof, yeah.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
got a couple of 10 packs of his genetics, and then somebody sent me Autoflower AK
Nice.
up in Alaska. He sent me some photo period genetics, and I've seen pictures of that stuff, and it looks pretty good too. So I got some of that, and then I've got some other miscellaneous stuff, like I think I got some old OG Kush seeds and stuff like that still in the freezer that I could try to germinate. So yeah, I'll be giving that a go and see how it goes. I'm looking forward to kind of be able to fill up my tent. I'm appealed to the idea of kind of training them and filling that tent up before you flip it, as opposed to like the autos. Sometimes even with Daz's stuff, I mean, he's even posted pictures, hey, this is the way it is sometimes with a little runt next to a big one. It's the same, out of the same seed pack or something, it just happens every great once in a while. And when it does, it's kind of a bummer, because then you've got this potential space and you've got, energy being consumed with the light coming down. And I want to be able to fill that space up, man, and make the most use of that area. You know what I mean? So, and I could, if I would just put more, I tend to lean on the less side, like a 2x4 tent. I'll put 1 or 2 plants in there, where some people, they'll put 6. It just depends, on your pot size and all that stuff. Yeah. But,
don't do 6.
But, when I only put 2 and one of them ends up kind of being a little runty, or if I mess up or something like that, then they're already going into flower. It just is what it is. And I could be utilizing that space. So those are the little things that I'm looking forward to with growing photo periods, be able to really fill that tent up,
You
man.
gonna use like a scrog net?
I'm considering that. Yeah, I am considering that.
Yeah, you should, man.
Mm-hmm.
You should. That's the way the Admiral would have told you to do it. You can get a little like nylon net, or you can really just drape it over the plants. Like, it doesn't even. I've seen people do it in a way where you don't need it to be like elastic and like attached to the tent poles. However, it is really pretty easy to make a custom scrog net that'll fit your tent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I mean, took a little bit of work with like a drill and some PVC pipe and threading some twine. Took some work, but man, I got the thing now. Yeah, that'll be something to keep, in this new year grow I got coming up. That's something I'm gonna unveil, my custom scrog net. So,
sweet,
man, it's a great method. And now I know, now you use auto pots too, right?
I do still use them. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm gonna. Can you still hear me? Oh, there I am.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my headphones. I'm gonna. Whoa, damn, that is my headphones. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
You sound fine on this end.
I just done scared the shit out of myself.
You're coming through.
Yeah, I'm gonna one of these tent. I've got two 2x4 tents back here. So the one that you can't really see, it's way back there. I'm gonna keep the auto pots in there, and I'm gonna just be chucking pollen in that one. I think, um, not chucking pollen in that one, but growing females, and then I'll have a male somewhere else. But I'm gonna use that basically for making seeds and stuff like that. And then this one here, I'm gonna have that bed, that raised bed in there, so I can get like a good living soil going. Now that I'm more educated on all that too, it's like I'm really looking forward to being able to get some kick-ass soil going in there. You know what I mean?
Going full no-till, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
That's
I'm looking
cool.
forward to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Badass, man. Badass.
Yeah.
I hear. I mean, that's if you want to talk about like the truly most efficient way to use soil and your space and your labor, I guess, if that's a thing in your garden. You fill you fill your bed one time, and then you don't have to fill it again, right? I mean, you can use that theoretically cycle after cycle after cycle, and then you really just cut the plants at the bottom, and then the roots kind of just die off, right? Like you don't even need to pull the root ball out. I feel like that would
No way. No. Yeah,
disturb.
you leave it in there, man.
Yeah, that would ruin
Yeah,
the
you
point
leave
of the
it.
bed.
Leave it in there. It's just, it's storing carbon. It's food for the microbes. It just leave it in there. Yeah, Marco is growing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. Marco is growing on Instagram, and he's also got another account called Cannabis Naturally, I think. But anyways, dude, he's got a big indoor raised bed, and I think that thing's been rocking for like almost 10 years, a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like that. That guy's good, dude. He knows his shit, and he's got a lot of experience and when it comes to soil and stuff like that. But he's kind of been like someone that I've looked up to and learned from, almost like a mentor, I guess. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that too. We'll see how it goes. I'm got to get the watering down. You know what I mean? You don't want to let it dry out too much, so it's going to be a lot different. It's not the whole let it dry, water it, let it dry, water it. You want to keep a consistent moisture so that the biological life in there can do its thing. So that's going to be a little bit different, trying to kind of work through that, but I'll get it.
You could do go the blue mott route, or
I considered that.
Spiders.
Yeah. So, dude, and I love auto pots, right? And I thought about using the Autopot Spider, which is a product of theirs that's meant to go in like a raised bed sort of environment, right? Thought about using that in a no-till setup in my garden. The reason I did not is because it's like it's a fabric kind of wicking system, okay, that like you actually like have to bury into the soil, and it has these like tentacles, or I guess spider legs, as they're making the analogy, that like kind of go out into the soil. Has little holes in them that I guess let water seep out, and the soil just kind of wicks up all the water all throughout the bed. Okay. It's, in my mind, I feel like the roots of the plant are going to attach to that kind of stuff. They're going to like intertwine. It's going to be a mess down there, and it's not going to be able to be effective run to run. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
possible. I mean, I ran them outside this year in the garden. I didn't have any issues with them. But maybe run to run in a no-till.
I think they're more designed for like, like in a vegetable garden with like a bunch of perennials, where at the end of the season you just take it out of the bed. I don't think that it is designed for no-till, to be quite honest. And there's that's the reason I didn't do it. So yeah, I don't know, if you want to do the automatic watering, I think the blue mat would be the way to go. But at the same time, you got a big ass bed of soil there. You don't need to water that much theoretically.
Mhm.
You just gotta do the old fashioned, like, you know,
Yeah.
see. Well, I guess you wouldn't do that first. You just go in with you go in dry. You go in dry.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I've checked out that same system, and I was kind of hoping to find like some videos and some people who have used it and documented it, and I couldn't really. So Monster, you used it then outside, huh? And
Yeah,
s-
yeah,
and it worked well. The plants, I mean, I guess first and foremost is is it doing its job with irrigation?
yeah. I mean, it did its job. It was the garden I set up was over a friend's house because by the time me and my father's garden got set up, it was too late to use them. So I brought him over a friend's house and he set him up. And I actually posted, I think, a picture of some of the harvest we collected from him. So amazing tomatoes and peppers and kale, broccoli, hot peppers. I mean, shit, a
Cool.
bunch of stuff. Yeah, and everything came out great. It was a big relief for him not to have to, hand water or rely
Mm-hmm.
on timers or anything like that. And it was nice to be able to just, from a product I'm already familiar with. It's just the aqua valve connected to a different system, so
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty easy. We actually just connected it to a rain barrel and didn't have to fuck with it at all. Just
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a good idea, but I have to agree with you, Captain. I wonder. I didn't think of that prior until you said it, but now that you said it, like I think that's a really good point, man. Are the roots going to end up attaching to that, and you know, because even
Like,
with those blue mat systems, you can see, like the roots getting up to the top of where those little carrots are or whatever. You see like this little root ball mass, and it's like, well, is that going to happen with that
I
yeah,
think
autobot?
it's gonna happen with any of them. I mean, there's been studies done with plants attaching themselves to fucking pipes that have sound of water
yeah.
going through them. So, um,
Hmm.
I
But
think you're gonna run into that problem with any type of automated water system like that.
Mm,
with that kind of a system though, like it's just again not designed for like a cycle after cycle after cycle, especially with like no-till. The purpose is not to disturb the soil
mm-hmm.
and to let the network
Mm.
of the like is it the same mycorrhizal fungi that we were talking about in the beginning of the show, the dino myco,
It isn't
you
just
know,
mycorrhizal fungi; it's the
it
whole
is. It's
network,
Yeah,
really.
it's
no,
fungi
yeah,
in general, really. I mean, bacteria, realistically, dude, can be replenished pretty quick.
but
Um,
it takes time for that network to establish
yeah,
itself.
it's all one big soil food web, is what they
Yeah,
call it. Yeah. So yeah, like
exactly.
there's all kinds of fungi, mycorrhizal fungi, and all kinds of different types of fungi in the soil. So if you're disturbing that, that's a little bit harder to reestablish, than bacteria. But just to leave it
Takes time.
untouched, and you leave it untouched, basically it's just nutrient cycling, man. That's what I'm shooting for. Nutrient cycling. Like I'm just trying to get nutrients cycled, and you need microbes to do that. And if you really want like some good, I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna put biochar in there, like all kinds of stuff, man, as a storehouse for microbes and nutrients. And
Biochar is a cool soil addition, right? And because to my understanding, it's just like it has the most surface area of any like substance you could put in there. It's like it's got these little crevices, nooks and crannies, right? Like a
yeah, they say like
Thomas's biochar.
a piece like the size of the tip of your finger has the same surface area as a football field. That's what they
Holy
say.
shit!
That's
So it's just,
fascinating.
yeah, and it's carbon. It's just
Yeah,
it's
just
wood burnt in a low oxygen environment, and it's just a storehouse, man, for microbes and soil. So when you got runoff and stuff, you're not, and there's leaching even outdoors. There's leaching and stuff that happens deep in the soil. That biochar is it's like like a safety stadium for all the microbes to gather in and hang out.
awesome,
Um,
man. Yeah, no, like
and
I think um I think it was Fantastic Fungi. That Netflix special we mentioned that like was talking about the Amazonian tribes down in like the rainforest and the soil just like it shouldn't be as rich as it is for some reason. They were trying to like figure out a reason why they had like this black, like extremely rich soil that could like grow anything, right? And it turns out the natives would add charcoal like to their soil, like and just knew kind of intuitively, or I don't know, maybe intuitively. Maybe it was they took a bunch of like ayahuasca and communicated with the gods that told them to do it. Who knows? But yeah, they added charcoal to the soil, and I guess when you team the charcoal and with the microbes, it just gives them, like you said, a cool little fort down there in the soil where they can all chill. I don't know. It's a cool thing, man. Biochar is not something I hear a lot of people talk about. So
Yeah, it's something that I'm definitely interested in. I made kind of my first batch, and I have no idea how it turned out. I'm gonna have to see. But yeah, I burnt the wood and then soaked it for about a week in microbial solution that I cultured indigenously, from some oak trees on the property where I work. And I also put some homemade do-it-yourself fertilizer in there too. So hopefully it's charged up and it'll work for me. We'll see if I did it right.
I was gonna ask you what biochar you're using. That's fucking rad that you're making your own.
Yeah. So I've got a nice little stockpile that guy Marco sent to me. We did a little barter. I sent him some stuff. He sent me some stuff. So he sent me enough to be able to fill that, not fill, but to be able to use as a ratio in that 2x4 bed. I think it's going to be enough. If not, then I'll use what's there and maybe add some of my own. So I'm just going to use his for now. And then as I experiment and make my own, but yeah, man, biochar, ash, all that type of stuff, man. Good at certain ratios.
Cremated human remains, do you?
Why not?
Asking for a friend?
Just curious. I mean, no.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of calcium and phosphorus in that.
Or not. Yeah, actually, we've, I think, gone over this in a past show. Maybe, I don't know. In any case, I've done some research on the topic, but yeah, there's some good stuff in a cremated person, but there's also a lot of bad stuff, including a lot of sodium. And yeah, it could be, although, yeah, it could be adding nutrients over time. I think like the worry is that all the other shit, like, I don't know, what do you call them, like a bioaccumulator? You pick up all the stuff like that you eat over time, man, all the mercury and arsenic and all this shit. It just builds up,
Yeah, we all have glyphosate in our blood.
Yeah.
Most of us do, anyways.
Wait, what the hell is that? What the hell's glyphosate? I don't have glyphosate. You got glyphosate.
Yeah, you do. Everybody's got.
I don't got no glyphosate.
I think they say, I could be wrong on this, so I'm not stating this as a fact, but I think I've heard that like up to 80% of the population has it in their blood, dude. Yeah, Roundup.
What is it?
Roundup.
Oh, no shit,
herbicide.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah,
Holy
it's
shit.
absolutely ruining everything. It's ruined so much, man, and it's in our bodies. Yeah, because if you're not, there's a lot of our food is grown with that, and
it is.
and I understand, like, I'm not coming at it like, a lot of people are all angry with pitchforks and shit, but back in the day we didn't know, right? It's like a lot of things. I mean, doctors you used to see ads, with a cigarette brand that a doctor recommends, and then we realized, oh, this gives you lung cancer and kills you, so they stopped doing that, and now we know. It's kind of one of those things, you know, like we used it, it worked good, but now we know it's given people cancer. There's all kinds of lawsuits and settlements for it. It's ruining our soil. It kills the microbial life. It kills the microbial life that's existing on your plant's leaves, in the soil, and it's killing us. But it's so ingrained and embedded into our food system because most of our food is grown with modern kind of conventional agriculture, not organic, not regenerative, or whatever word you want to use. Most of it is grown with all these sides, with all these herbicides and pesticides and fungicides and things like that. And naturally, that stuff's going to make its way into our food, man. So we're eating it. So it's probably, yeah, it's in our blood, man. You know, that's why I try not to eat like fruit and stuff. Like I do try to buy it organic, like fruit, especially fruit. You know, anything that's coming right off a plant, man. Because if you don't, it's most likely been sprayed.
That's a good. No, I think you're onto something there. I mean, especially, well, at least my buying habits. Like, yeah, if I'm buying fruit, I tend to want to pay more for the organic version. I just feel like it tastes better, has, more flavor, more what I'm looking for in buying the food it's in the first place. But like milk, especially, I don't know if you guys, a lot of you hipster types, you get these almond milk or cashew milks. It's like, how the fuck do you milk a cashew? All right, I don't know, but I just go straight up. I go for
Just
a cow
squeeze
milk.
that baby, man. You just milk that puppy, you know?
Milk, I'm gonna milk my little cashew.
Yeah.
But no, I do the cow's milk, but I always get the organic shit. I swear I can taste the difference. I always get, the cage free or whatever, the good
Cage-free
eggs.
cows.
The good eggs. You can always taste. Wait, what did you say, G3?
You're talking about milk, and then you're talking about cage-free, and I was like,
Oh, the
cage-free
cage-free cows. Yeah, I don't like veal at all. I don't like veal. I don't do that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, man.
But I just I think that you are right that it takes like the organic produce is better for the food, better for you, but it's just like, man, you can't escape the matrix, you know what I mean?
No.
Go ahead and try.
Yeah.
You still got glyphosate in your blood, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Live out,
yeah.
live out on a farm and make your own everything. You're still going to have glyphosate in your blood, and when someone tries to use your cremated human remains as plant food, you're going to kill plants.
Yeah, it's in the rain too, man.
Is it what? Glyphosate or cremated human remains?
No. The glyphosate. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm thinking of a different chemical, but I'm pretty sure it's that.
I've
but
done a little bit of research on this.
It's in the rain. It's in the clouds.
Fuck, are you fucking kidding me?
No, we've tainted the system as humans. We've tainted the system, and that's why I'm so passionate about doing what I'm doing now. It's just to do my part, man. You know what I mean? Even though it's on a small scale, but who knows where that's going to lead and where I'm going to be in 15 years from now.
Yeah, right on, man.
I feel like more so with like normal agriculture, like fruit, vegetables, things like that. The organic side and the non-organic side, there's so extreme of a difference, right? Because like the non-organic shit, like they'll fucking spray that shit with anything to get it to harvest, right? But the organic stuff, not so much. So like with cannabis and other things where it's not so much of an extreme difference, the difference may not be as noticeable. But with fruits and vegetables in particular, like Captain said, you can taste the difference. And it's 100% the truth, because the non-organic shit, like they literally don't give a flying fuck. Like there's no fucks to be given because they're not held to a standard other than this normal ag shit, right?
I just learned, right, that like there is a chemical that they spray on non-ripe produce that like turns it ripe.
What? I mean, you can do that naturally with like ethylene.
Yeah, but like it's just they spray it with more shit.
And why do we have to do that, right? Because they're harvesting shit in Peru, putting it on a ship. They're harvesting it super early. because they have to, and then they're shipping it out here, and then it's going through all kinds of hands before it finally gets to the grocery store, and then it sits on that shelf, and then you finally buy it. And that's why we need to rethink what we're doing, man, with food in
Yeah,
general,
for
in
sure.
my
Well,
opinion.
we need to rethink, but this ag culture doesn't give a fuck about us, so they won't rethink
No,
it.
they don't, because it's the same
They
as
never will.
no,
It's all
yeah, they
about
don't care.
money for them. You know, like
Yeah,
if
of
they can
course,
harvest
yeah,
early, they can get more crops per year
yeah.
and make more
Always
money.
has been, always will be.
Yep.
Pharmaceuticals and big giant companies and corporations, man, they taint shit. And that's just the way it's kind of always been. But we still got to fight against that shit. You know what I mean?
You do. It
You know
took.
what? You know what fruit I notice the most, non-organic versus organic, is grapes. If you ever had like an organic grape versus non-organic, they're like regular run-of-the-mill grapes are fucking disgusting to me. You can just taste the chemicals. Like I'm not even
Yeah,
kidding you.
they
Like
won't. There's so much shit on grapes for sure. You gotta
yeah,
wash those motherfuckers. You can take. It's like a bitterness. I know what you
yeah,
mean. Yeah,
yeah, fucking
Yeah,
gross.
and
that
we got to be
that
careful with the
grape skin.
with cannabis too, man. Because organic and non-organic, that there's a difference there, maybe in quality, as far as what the plant's uptaking, but more so it's in a non-organic environment. A cannabis grow facility is able to spray whatever they want, right? And so ultimately that could become systemic. That could actually make its way into the plant depending on what they're spraying. So some of this stuff can actually go into to the plant cells, and where it becomes part of the plant, and then you're smoking it, right? So it doesn't matter if you're spraying it in veg or flower; it's just there. And so those are the things that I'm weary of, and that why I don't like buying from dispensaries. You know what I mean? Here, I don't know how it is where you guys live, but here I know there's a
All the
lot of
same.
it's a black market grows that are selling to these dispensaries, and they're turning around and selling it to us. And I found some gnarly stuff and some flour from a dispensary around here. One time, I've mentioned this before, but one time I found so much caterpillar shit that I was just amazed that they were. I mean, you could see it with your naked eye. So I was like, what is that? And I put it under a jeweler's loop, and I knew exactly what it was as a grower who has had probably at least 12 plants ruined from caterpillars outside. I knew exactly what it was. And so, my first question is how did they spray? What did they do? How did they get rid of these caterpillars? How did these caterpillars not ruin this plant? If they're the same tobacco budworm that we deal with in my area, they're little caterpillars that go and eat the buds from the inside out. They don't sit on the edges or bottoms of leaves. You know what I mean? And and next thing you know, you go to touch your cola and it falls apart in your hand and it's brown and there's all kinds of bud rot inside from these caterpillars. So my question is like, how do these guys get rid of these caterpillars to where all their poop is left over, but yet the
They're
bud's
not.
still intact? So they're most likely probably spraying something, right? Okay, what are they spraying? Probably something that works, man. Like even if it's crappy and horrible for
Eagle
you.
20 or some shit
Yeah,
like that.
dude. Yeah, exactly. I mean, because it's easy, right? I mean, dude, I battle so many aphids, man, especially at work, dude. Aphids on pepper plants and artichokes and lettuce. Oh my God, dude. It's just it's
Aphids
insane,
are-
man. And spider mites, man. Spider mites like started taking over the whole hoop house where I got like 50 tomato plants. And like every single plant had spider mites all over it. And it's like, so I get it, man. It's easy. It's like, man, I can come in there, dude, with some chemical, whoosh, spray one spray and just kill them all, knock them all dead. But then whoever's consuming those tomatoes is eating that chemical most likely. You know what I mean? And so that's my issue. You know what I mean? And that's why like we got to figure out a different approach, man. But it's easy. So I understand it's easy. Just spray that cannabis, man. Just spray that stuff, man. Just
Ugh.
spray it all so that the end product it smells like it and it tastes like it and it gets people high. I mean, that's really some people, that's all they care about. You know what I mean? So they're going to buy that cheap stuff, but it's possible that they're jeopardizing and risking their health
See, I'm not
when
an
we do.
organic grower, and I won't spray any harsh shit like that. And I'd like to think that most cannabis home growers, really won't. And even like the facilities and stuff that are run up here, even the non-organic ones, they are held to certain standards as far as what they can spray and what they cannot. I don't know about where you're at, but yeah, man, that's fucking
Mhm.
unfortunate that you buy flour, right, with your hard-earned fucking money, and you get caterpillar shit in it. the fact that it was even allowed to get to that point is fucking disturbing, really.
Yeah, it is, man. Yeah, people don't care, dude. They don't see the people who are it's it's like a cigarette company. If you are high up or you own like Philip Morris or something like that, it's like, how do you not care? Like, how do you not care? I don't understand that from a human level, and I try not to judge, but it's really difficult for me as a person who I tend to empathize a lot with other people and kind of feel their feelings, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's difficult for me to imagine how some guy sitting in a chair making $850,000 a year or whatever it is can just absolutely not give a shit about someone's health. But then again, it's not hard to believe. It's hard for me to understand, but it's not hard for me to believe because
they
look at
just don't give
look
a
at all
flying
the other
fuck.
stuff that's being given to
Money
us.
on the line,
It's all
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Rest assured, they wouldn't let their kids get involved in that shit, right? But anybody else, they don't give a flying fuck about anything. We're just numbers to them. Cash.
Cash.
well, I think I would take that Bud. What'd you say, G3?
Dollar bills.
It's all about the Benjamins.
Mm-hmm.
All about the Benjamins. It's the law of the universe, I guess. But I would take that caterpillar shit-ridden Bud if I was some ruthless, capitalist-minded dispensary owner, and I would turn it into extract. I'd fill carts with it.
There you go.
Then I'd add some extra terpenes. There
There
you
you
go. You'd never know it. You'd never know it came from caterpillar shit terp weed. No, God, I wouldn't do that. But I guarantee you, a lot of people do. Like when they get product handed to them, that like it happens. There's a lot of people growing that don't know what the fuck they're doing, especially in the around me. I could say that much around
Dude,
me.
in corporate cannabis, it's fucking rampant. People don't know what they're doing. It's funny. If you go into like Reddit, which I haven't been in a while, but if you go into Reddit and check out like let's say like go to Macro Growery, which is a sub dedicated. No, but I'm saying if you go there, right, that's a sub dedicated for people who grow on a larger scale, and there are legit people who pop in there and be like, "Oh, guys, we finally got our license approved and blah 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 blah. What genetics should I go with? Or how often do you guys water these pots?" I'm like, holy shit, you're the one running this fucking facility? Good fucking luck. Like
we got 500,000 square feet of grow, and wait, but how often do we water our pots?
Yeah. So I mean, that shit happens all the time. It's funny where like the money will go to a place like that, and yeah, it's fucking wild. There are so many people in the corporate cannabis world who have no fucking idea what they're doing at all.
And see, I'll consider, like, you made a good point, Monster. Like you were saying, you don't grow organic, but you're not spraying, and I think that's where it's important, man. You know what I mean? Like,
I spray, just not with heavy duty chemicals, like all like natural shit, like essential oils and stuff like that. And usually not in flower, unless I foresee a problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I just came from a buddy's house. He's got a shitload of spider mites.
You don't
something like that. And I'm not afraid to spray some Zymes or something in flower, but usually,
yeah, but that's different, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my opinion,
100%.
I know some people say a side is a side, like a pesticide, even if it's neem or organic, and I get what they're saying, but
see, neem I won't even really fuck with. It's too harsh for me. Like that'll show up in testing, even in flower. Like if you spray in veg, and there's been some pretty gnarly studies showing what neem could do to your reproductive organs. Too. Yeah,
I don't like the smell of neem oil at all.
No, me either, man.
But yeah, but like for me, it's like I'll consume flour that wasn't grown like in some living soil. Like I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily like one of those people who is like, if you use synthetic newts, then I'm not, consuming it or something like that. For me, it's more so the spraying harsh chemicals. That's where,
that's what really shows up in the end product, though. Like I've smoked shit right from that a buddy grew, and I'd be like, dude, spray something on this, like towards, like the end?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I had a fucking problem with, aphids, so I sprayed this, and this." And a lot of times it isn't even like bad shit either, but like if you spray enough of really anything, um, late in flower, it's gonna hurt the end quality of the product. And most people, we talk about new growers, right? They have no fucking idea. They'll go to the hydro store and be like, "Hey, I got a problem. Like, I need something that works. Like, what works?" And they'll fucking point them in the direction of something crazy and harsh that will work for their problem. But then that's something you do not want to be smoking. Usually it'll say, like, on the bottle for ornamental plant use only. And there's a reason behind that, right? So
Yeah.
that's what people need to
True.
realize.
How
We're
about
not
you,
using them.
G3? Do you ever
I
deal with any
don't.
pests and stuff, or you
Nope.
just keep it pretty
On
clean?
my first grow, I just keep everything super clean. I do not come into my basement if I've been outside unless I've at minimum changed my clothes. I usually like to like fully shower and change before I come downstairs. I never deal with any house plants before I deal with my regular plants, So it's just
That's smart. And it
I
may
just
seem overboard to some people, but I'm right there with you. Like
No, 100% is not overboard.
when I've got, and like when I come home from work, I won't even come out here if I don't, like, I really try not to unless I absolutely have to. But I don't even come out here into this garage, into this room, because my tents are right there, and I don't want some spider mite to float off of my freaking arm hair out of my nose or something and go floating in there. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a good idea. Like, even to shower before you go in, you're totally clean, because it's hard indoors. Dealing with pests sucks too, because you're not, when you're outdoors, it is a little different because you've got nature and this biodiversity. And, like these pests that I deal with, they'll eventually go away as nature balances out, but I've got to get there. That's why they hired me, was to build their soil up and bring diversity in and stuff like that. But until I get to that point, I'm going to be dealing with pests. You know what I mean? But indoors, you don't have birds picking aphids off the bottom of a leaf. You don't have like lacewing, eggs hanging from a leaf that hatch and go eat the aphids, or ladybugs eating aphids and stuff like that indoors. So I think that's
and the only vector that they have into that tent is me. It's the only one. Sometimes my cat if he's being an asshole, but mostly it's me. So if I just cut off that vector, there you go, no problem. I never have to spray anything. I don't do any, like, God forbid, God is forbid, something happens, knock on wood, whatever it takes. But I haven't sprayed anything on my plants for IPM since my first grow ever. And that was the one where I brought in both spider mites and aphids from outside. And I learned my lesson real hard. Learned it hard. So,
yeah.
So
Oh, dude, I have, so my lemon tree that I was talking about has some aphids that must have just come in from the outside. I even did quarantine, and I've been spraying it since the very beginning. But like, yeah, somehow still got aphids. I think they must have just been in the soil. Who the fuck
dormant,
knows, man?
maybe.
Yeah, dormant. But like, so yeah, I'm up there spraying. I made the Monsters IPM mix with some homemade ghost peppers, right? Or homegrown ghost peppers from my own garden, right?
Jesus Christ, that must be fucking painfully lethal.
Dude, like, yeah, you're talking about, like, we've gone past napalm level.
Did you wear a
Like, this
respirator?
is,
Tell me you wore a respirator. Oh my
if this is a
God.
respirator, no, I
Stop
did
it.
not.
Because when I make that with crushed red pepper, I like choke my brains out. Okay, I
Dude.
can't even imagine it with fucking ghost peppers, you maniac.
I
That's
got it
awesome.
like into my nasal passages, and I can still feel it.
Hey, you
really
guys
can.
need like full face mask respirators with like vapor chemical canisters.
Yeah, that sounds too expensive. I'd rather
Just
just
need to
breathe.
be Darth
Plus, like
Vader,
I
It's
said,
basically.
expensive. That's because
What?
you're dealing with insane stuff.
Yeah, but you know something? I've said it before. Like after I cough and sneeze my brains out from spraying that shit, like half an hour later, I feel like a fucking champion.
I felt
Because
good, but
all
yeah, I
the
had
walls of your
nose
mucous
running
membranes have been burned clean.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But I like be, I got to watch as the aphids literally shriveled up like, as I like it
That's
was like
savage.
this is not napalm. This is like you're dropping this is like nuclear fallout or something from the sky. This is bad stuff, guys. They just shrivel right up. But
For the recipe,
the ghost
check our
peppers,
previous shows or
yeah,
Monster's page.
it's literally just rubbing alcohol and peppers. You know, I extracted the it was fresh ghost pepper into that rubbing alcohol, and now the capsaicin is you can just use rubbing alcohol to
Yep.
I
I've
mean,
used just
that'll
alcohol before. I'm not
kill
back.
aphids
Yep.
for sure, but the capsaicin takes it to another level, and it sure does do a number on your sinuses too. So be prepared for that.
Get your nose running.
Oh yeah.
It does. It does. And man, if you got a stuffy nose, man, just go up there and spray some ghost pepper mix.
Yeah. Some stuff I used that really worked good, man, was this guy on Instagram his username is Kush Knights. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but
Oh.
he sent me some stuff. I think it was called Prime Superior or something like that, and it's basically it's a fungus. It's Bavaria bassiana, and I sprayed some of that, and it wiped them out, dude. Stuff worked good. I don't know how expensive it is, or if he even sells it, or anything like that. I think they sell it, but
What's it called?
it's called Prime Superior, and it's basically just a little bottle that's like inoculated with, I think it's called Bavaria bassiana. It's some type of microbe, some type of fungi or something, and it
Be confused with brassica.
yeah, not a brassica.
Just
But yeah, that stuff worked good, man. You know, so if anybody ever, I can vouch for that stuff that it worked. I used the whole bottle and got rid of all the aphids in this in a pepper garden that I was growing over the summer, and it worked really good. And I did that to knock them down, and then I followed it up with some lacewing larvae, which those guys are like little predators, man. They go and they eat pretty good. They work pretty good for me.
Dude,
Nice.
you've gone full on. I mean, you're doing the organic thing. I really can tell that, like, talking to some of the guests on your show, like, inspired you to go ahead and do this shit in real life, like for a job.
For sure, man.
Truly. And you're like, that's what you do day in and day out, taking care of all different types of plants, you know, with lacewing larvae and different types of
All kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's
regenerative
fun, dude.
IPM
Everything
method.
happens for a reason, man. You were
Yeah.
meant to be there, right?
I believe that, dude. It's a super cool job too, man. I'm so lucky, dude. I'm so freaking lucky. Dude, you guys, it's not like a normal job, man. It's
Looks beautiful.
There's only a few of us there. It's a beautiful place, like in hill country. There's 80 acres. 20 of them are fenced off. Primarily olive orchards because we make olive oil. We just got certified through the California Olive Oil Council for extra virgin organic olive oil. Yeah, man, we just finished our harvest season. We got
We're
a
gonna have to
press. We got
talk
the
after the
whole
show, man. I want
lineup.
some of
But
that heady olive oil.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the good shit.
I mean, I'm a
Dude,
fucking Italian, man. We need some of that good shit. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so see
Absolutely.
the owners of the ranch are Italian. Yeah, it's called Macala Orchards.
Shut up and take my money. Where's my fucking
Yeah.
olive oil?
But it's cool, man. It's super cool, dude. Just getting to, I've never worked with orchards, and that's what I'm doing right now is working with the soil,
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, I tested the soil and there's some nitrogen deficiencies, so we're working on that. Just being able to do that on a large scale is super cool, man.
Now,
Super cool.
we're getting kind of late into it, but this could go down a rabbit hole. Now, do you test the soil yourself, or do you send it out to have it tested?
No, I sent it out. Yeah, I sent it out. That's the first time I've ever done a soil test. Yeah, but there's these olive trees that weren't producing in the middle of an orchard, and they were asking me, what do you think it could be? And so I thought, well, it could be many things, but let's test the soil first. And so we tested the soil, and it was low, significantly low in nitrogen and a few micronutrients. So I just ordered like 50 pounds of cover crop seeds. They're all legumes, so that they provide their own nitrogen, basically pull it out of the air, and they don't take any nitrogen from the soil. They'll take nitrogen, basically pull it out of the air, like out of thin air, and put it into the soil. And then I'll chop that too, chop and drop it, which will just feed the soil food web and add even more nitrogen and micronutrients and all kinds of stuff. But I'm at the beginning. It's going to be a lot of work, man. It's going to be a lot of work.
It's
It's a
gonna be
lot to
so
cover.
satisfactory and rewarding to come to,
Oh, it is. It already is. All the
Yeah.
cover crop is, I drive around, it's all sprouting up everywhere. It's just bitching, dude. It's cool.
It's just badass, man. Knowing that, like, I mean, theoretically, you know, that means you could do that anywhere. You can go into any environment with any soil, pretty much anywhere on Earth, and restore the soil to a point where, like those Amazonians, right? They added the biochar, and it took them fucking generations. Don't get me wrong. Maybe you couldn't do it, but like, if over time people got the message here that like regenerative farming is the way to go, I think ultimately, come on, people.
I don't think we're going to have a choice eventually.
Yeah, that's
But
going to be the
it'd
catalyst. It's
yeah.
going to have to be, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's a tricky thing. But there's a lot of, I don't know what to call it. There's a lot of gray area in there too. Like, we can't just switch over. I wish we could, but I don't think it would be feasible to feed this size of a population, because it takes time, But yeah, it's super cool, man. We're
whole
talking about
influence.
adding animals and goats and chickens and bringing all that in, which that's all new to me. I've never dealt with livestock, but I know how it works, but I've never actually done it. But that's why I took this job, right? Because I got this head knowledge, and I want to get my hands dirty and do this stuff,
Oh
So
yeah, brother.
It's taken a super important part of the whole food web and the soil and animals and
mimicking nature, man. That's why
Yeah,
it'll work
yeah.
anywhere around the world. Like you said, you could do it anywhere around the world. Why? Because you're just
just
mimicking
amazing.
nature. Yeah.
It's just amazing. It really is, man. I'm hats off to you for, like, I think it's an inspiring story that, like you said, you took the knowledge you got on your show, which, by the way, is great. Everyone go check out the Autoflower Podcast. You got, I mean, I don't know how many episodes you did, but the backlog is worth listening to, man. Go back and start on episode 1 if you haven't heard it. It's great stuff.
It's cool to see your progress too, from like when you started with
Mhm.
your earlier episodes to some of your later stuff. Like, you
Yeah, a
can
lot
tell
of evolution.
you learned a lot. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Evolution.
Yeah.
You learned, and now you're taking it to another level. And I think ultimately, dude, you've satisfied my curiosity as to, like, what happened to Chad. I wonder where he went
Yeah.
and why he's not doing the thing anymore, man.
Yeah,
But,
I
like,
get it.
it makes so much sense to me now. And no, I think your story is inspiring, and I hope other people out there realize that they can take the knowledge that they're getting as a grower and take it into the real fucking world and make a difference. If that's your passion and that's what you have a drive for, then go ahead and do it. Like,
Yeah,
ain't
man,
nobody
that's it.
stopping.
Yeah. Follow
So,
that passion, baby.
for
That's what
sure,
it's all
man.
about.
Yeah. That's so I respect the hell out of you, man. Even more so for coming on and
Yeah, man. Thank
sharing
you.
it with us.
Yeah, I respect you all, and again, man, I'm super thankful for you guys inviting me on. It's been a nice chat, and being able to connect with G3 and Monsta. I've not really talked to you guys too much. I know
I
Jeff.
think we've chatted chatted a little bit through like DMs in the past. But
Yeah,
never really.
yeah. Jeff, I know pretty well, and but it's good to connect with you guys, man. And I feel honored that you guys asked me to come on here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're
So,
thrilled that you could
for
come
those who
share
don't
space
know
with us.
you, can you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah, Instagram, I hang out there mostly, and it's at Tourette Grower, just kind of how it sounds. And that's my kind of my main account. There is an account for Autoflower Podcast. I've been totally silent on it though. There's nothing there, but you can go ahead and follow that because I'll be kind of resurrecting that a little bit. And other than that, man, just like autoflowerpodcast.com. You can check out the website. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Or you might see my ugly mug across town if you're out here in Southern California.
What's up? Well, no, we appreciate you coming on again, man, sharing, and I think everyone should go check it out, the show and your IG. And other than that, you guys know what I'm going to say. Don't get caught. We'll see you in a week. Thank you for listening, and toodles.